Hello, welcome into button mashing. I'm your host, Nateslegend. This is the first episode. We're live. This is happening now. I am joined today by Doodly. Doodly is here. We're gonna be talking today. I mean, it's a big day, Doodles. Big day. We had the Xbox Series X launch yesterday. We have the PlayStation 5 launching tomorrow. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that's what we're going to be talking about here today. We got that launched yesterday, and then we have Godfall also launching. Now, we're not going to really get into Godfall much, but I mean, big day all around. So difficult to know exactly where to get started here, but we're going to go ahead and start with the Xbox, jump right in. But first, Doodles, how are you today? What's going on, my man?
Oh, not much, dude. Just was grinding through Valhalla today, trying to see what it was all about. I'm good. How are you doing?
That's what I like to hear. Doing well, always doing well. I'm nervous, man. It's a big day. It's hoping everything goes well here. I'll be honest with you guys. I have no problem with that. All right, but that said, okay, so Xbox Series X, it launched yesterday. We also have the Xbox Series S that came out. As much as I want to talk about that, I'm going to be honest, and you can kind of give me your thoughts here, Doodles, but the S doesn't feel like much of an upgrade, at least personally speaking. I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but personally speaking, the S doesn't feel much of an upgrade over the Xbox One. So not going to get too much into that. What do you think, Doodles? What are your thoughts on the S versus the X?
So, see, I've just been mostly PlayStation lately. I have not paid attention to Microsoft in the last 2 years. All of my exclusives are Sony. I am so guilty here.
All right.
Yeah.
Gonna get interesting then. I'm actually interested in seeing how that plays out coming forward here, because we're gonna talk about the PlayStation as well. So let's jump right into it. All right, so the Xbox Series X. Some of the more important features that you have to know here. Well, not really. I mean, it's kind of the specs, kind of the techie side of things, but at the same time, is it really? Is it going to compare to the PlayStation? So we got to get down to the gritty here. Ultimately, what it comes down to, the CPU itself, it is an 8-core, 3.8 gigahertz custom Zen 2. The GPU is a 12 teraflop custom RDNA 2 graphics card as well. Now, because of those two together, it does allow 4K gaming and up to 8K HDR. So it's I mean, it's next gen. Let's be honest here. It's next gen. We are looking, so they include 5.1 Dolby Digital, Dolby True HD with Atmos. You got your standard 5.1 and 7.1 setups as well that it will all support. It's coming in at a whopping 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters and 30 centimeters tall. I'm not even going to try to figure out what that is in inches. Y'all can figure it out, yeah? Yeah, okay. I did, however, convert. I will be honest. I did convert, however, the weight. It was in other metrics, but I got it changed over here. The Xbox Series X comes in at a whopping 9.8 pounds, which actually doesn't sound that bad if I'm being completely honest with you, but that's me. So, all right. Let's see. Memory and storage, though. Let's get into the memory and storage of everything. So 16 gigabyte GDDR6 and 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD built in. It does support up to a 1 terabyte expansion card per the Xbox website. It does have to match the internal storage connection, however, so it sounds and looks like it is very specific what SSD you actually are going to be able to get. Yeah, there's your specs. I mean, I got nothing more to add there. I mean, I don't want to get too techie with it, so we'll just stick there. They have announced backward compatibility. It is backward compatible with games from all of the older systems, but just like with the Xbox One, not all games are necessarily compatible with it. So, yeah, it gives us but you do have that option of the backwards compatibility with pretty much most games at this point. Sounds like a good system. It comes in at $49.99 before you add any bundles. Now, I was up at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. That is 7 a.m. Mountain Time. when the console first released, and every site I checked Best Buy, I checked GameStop, I checked Target, and I checked Walmart. Now, I didn't want to get too much further into that because I wasn't going to buy it anyway. Every one of them was sold out except for bundles. Bundles ranging up from, with a couple extra games to some that I saw that were $9,000, $1,100. So, but what did you think about the launch itself? How do you think that went, Doodles?
Well, I think all in all this year, as far as launching either console went, it's been kind of chaotic as you would expect, with just meeting requirements all around. I mean, it's a crazy year. Crazy stuff's happening, and
it is
trying to keep up with it.
And it's so hard. That price tag of $499.99. I mean, again, that's for the higher end one. They have the S that's a little bit less, but $500 in the middle of a pandemic, kind of a steep price tag. I get why people want it, why people would jump in on it right now. But yeah, it's kind of rough. I don't know how do you think sales are gonna do? Do you think pandemic's gonna play a role at all?
I think it's gonna play a huge role. So I'm curious though. This is off topic. I'm more curious about the exclusives because, like I said, I'm Sony, so I know what games are coming out with my system.
Yes.
I'm RPG sucker. I'm waiting for Demon Souls. I gotta play it.
So glad you brought that up. That is absolutely something we're going to talk about today because the PlayStation exclusives are going to be the killer here. So we're gonna get into all of that. No worries. And please note the disclaimer along the bottom there. That's all I'm going to go ahead and say at this point. All right, so let's talk about the PS5 though. Let's compare systems. Let me know kind of what you think here. So the CPU on board is going to be an x86-64 AMD Ryzen Zen 8 core with 3.5 gigahertz. So pretty much about the same. The biggest difference that I noticed here, graphics card wise, is the GPU is going to be a 10.3 teraflops. Not that it makes much difference here because it is a 10.3 teraflop RDNA 2 with ray tracing acceleration. I did some research as well, and from what I was seeing, the Xbox actually is compatible with ray tracing as well. However, the PS5 is really advertising for it. We got, this is what we got. So, where are we at here? Either way, it's gonna go ahead and give you the 4K gaming. It's gonna give you the 8K. It's gonna give you the HDR. You're gonna be golden across the board there. High end graphics. The only information on the audio that I was looking at here, or that I could find really, was on board the PS5 is a Tempest 3D audio tech. Now, I'm not 100% sure what all that entails. I would assume that it's going to include all sorts of the 5.1s and all of that, but more on that a little later once we can find it. Yeah. All right, now here is the difference. In size, we have 39 centimeters by 10.4 centimeters by 26 centimeters. So you are looking at, roughly the same height at the end of the day. The PS4 sitting a little bit smaller, a little shorter, but overall,
it does look like Beautiful Joe, though, so that's kind of cool.
It does. It looks so futuristic as well. I think that's one thing they did really well was making it look ready for the next gen.
Yeah.
Size comparison, weight comparison here, we are looking, the only difference is 0.1 pound. It is a 9.9 pound system compared to the 9.8. Backwards compatibility. This is where things start to get a little bit sketchy. No, I don't want to say sketchy, a little different. It starts to shake it up a little bit and really starts to set Xbox apart from PlayStation. The PS5 does allow for backwards compatibility for seemingly all PS4 games, but nothing other than PS4 games. You can't go back into your PS3.
Saying PS3 to 1.
Exactly. So I mean, that would have been a really nice touch, especially after releasing so many of those older games. They've kind of put them in the store. It'd be nice to have those available, but
I'm just kind of curious when we're gonna get a PS1 emulator. Like let's just get.
I mean, emulators are easy on if you get a computer. There's lots of ways to get the emulator. It would be I'd love to get an emulator specific to the PlayStation though. Make it so it feels next gen, but I'm still OGing it, whatever else, right?
Right.
All right. So overall, I'm gonna say, yeah, they're pretty comparable at the end of the day, at least when it comes to your specs. Design wise, size wise, they're pretty much this. I mean, obviously, design wise, not, but they're pretty much the same. They really equal. Really interested in seeing how the PS5 launch goes tomorrow.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice as well, or forgot to mention. So during the launch, there were some rumors of the PS5 was, or excuse me, not PS5, the Xbox Series X was smoking. There were a couple reports of those. I did do some research. Yeah, right. I did do some research on those. However, it looks like most of those have been debunked. So I'm not stressing it. It looks like some people with some vape pens is kind of what they were. And they were blowing in it. Yeah, I don't know.
PSN propaganda.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know why you'd spend $500 just to play a prank, but hey, it is what it is.
Fair enough.
Right? All right. So let's talk about next gen. You really wanted to drive home those exclusives here. So which console are you going for? You've really alluded to it. You've really started to push the I am PlayStation. Why are you choosing PlayStation?
I have to be.
Okay.
It just started with Dark Souls for me. I was playing Dark Souls. I got hooked into it. It ruined me for most games. Bloodborne being that PlayStation exclusive was huge for Sony, and it was great. Like, Bloodborne still one of my favorite RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I am ecstatic to play Demon Souls because it was the one Soulsborne game that I have not been able to touch because I don't have a PlayStation 3 and there's no way to play it on the PlayStation 4. So with this remake, it's going to allow me to dive into the world of Demon Souls, and I'm really excited.
Gotcha. All right. No, that makes absolute sense, man. That's as I'm selecting random things here, trying to get back to where we need to be. All right. Anywho, so no, that makes sense. I mean, especially when you have those exclusives, and that's one thing I really wanted to bring up as well. Like I said, so when it comes to the exclusives, PlayStation just, and this is I'm gonna preface here. This is a this is a very opinionated show. I have my opinions, and it's gonna remain that way. So you can hate me all you want, but I'm gonna give my opinions. Anywho, all right. So moving on, when it comes to exclusives, PlayStation will forever be better.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're talking with one of the Halo guys, then that's
we're gonna talk Halo too here. We're gonna discuss Halo for a
or those
second.
Gearheads, man. Those Gearheads are
Gearheads. They can be all right. So, but that's kind of my point here. So, what were your first two Xbox exclusives that you jump right into? What are your first thoughts? The first thing that you want to go to?
So I actually I don't know what is coming out with the Xbox One X. Do you have the exclusives on yet?
There's your answer right there. When it comes down to Xbox exclusives, really the only two that stand out as being like, oh my goodness, I have to have these, are Halo and Gears of War. And even Gears of War, in my opinion, it was great when I was a kid. I stayed up all night beating Horde wave after wave. But that's really it that I can think of. Like
I was playing Horde with my buddies on Gears 4. On my Xbox, I've been jumping on that every now and then. But yeah, that was a good time. But I definitely think Halo is the big money maker for Xbox.
Halo is the big money maker. But with PlayStation, you have Spider-Man. You're gonna have Spider-Man Miles Morales. You already have God of War. You have Ghost of Tsushima. Is that how you say that, Tsushima?
Oh, Ghost of Tsushima. Oh
Yeah,
man, I love that
you have
game.
those exclusives. You have Demon Souls coming out here. You know, there's a whole list of ones that you're just like, oh my goodness, I have to have those.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for me, PlayStation exclusives are forever superior to as a generalized term will be superior to Xbox. However, Halo is still the greatest game that has ever been released. You cannot change my mind otherwise. So,
I'm not arguing today.
don't even try. Just again, I have my opinions and I'm gonna use them. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Couple other things that do kind of worry me. At least let's pull this back down here so we can hear. A couple things that kind of worry me about the PlayStation is the exclusivity, though. That, I mean, as much as I want to say like, oh, they're so much better, I think there's two. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you my answer here, and it's gonna be the long roundabout answer, and then we will move on from this discussion. But the long roundabout answer is PlayStation is dealing with exclusivity right now. They are trying to make sure that that when you buy PlayStation, it is for their PlayStation. They have made it very clear that they want as exclusive as possible, right? Which is nice, but it means that I'm required to. Oh, I want to let you know here. I totally forgot to give the price of that PlayStation because I forgot to pull it. But if I recall correctly, it should be $4.99 as well. Let's go ahead here and confirm.
I believe they have that.
Yeah, that's all right. So $3.99 for the digital version, and then $4.99 for the standard edition. Wow, how did we forget to look that up? That is on me. But nonetheless, all right. So you have the exclusivity. I have to spend $500 just to get this system, just to play this game. It kind of limits me. Whereas what I feel Xbox has been doing, especially with Game Pass has been a lifesaver, especially for me. I don't have a ton of money for gaming. I don't have a ton of money to get a lot of, to buy that big up and coming games or whatever else. And Game Pass has allowed me to play those games and get those games on my computer, on my Xbox, wherever else I want to get them. And a phone. I mean, I can play on my mobile device if I really want to. But it branches out, and they've made it very clear that they don't care necessarily about buying an Xbox Series X right now. Yeah. Those systems are pumping out so much power that I don't even think I have a TV that can handle the power that the Xbox is actually pumping out. So when we're ready for those games, I think it'll be huge. When we're ready for those systems and we have the setup, that system will be there. But for now, I want to play on my computer. And Xbox is how we get there. And I think that Xbox has done a better job at opening it up and letting, as long as you're a part of the infrastructure, you're there. You're a part of Xbox.
I feel like Xbox has been just killing it as far as seamless everything. Menus, connecting your stuff to what you want. It's Xbox has always kind of been the one up. Whereas PlayStation's been riding on that Blu-ray menu for a minute now.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. They have been writing for a little bit. It used to be that PlayStation was the open source. That's where you'd go for all of your indie games. That's where anybody can throw a game on there, or you can play anything. You have the web browsers, and you have kind of the more kind of Android to the Apple of Microsoft 360 or the Xbox 360, and even the one to a degree. But that's really switched with this next gen. It's, you go from Xbox is now a little more open, or, not from, but to Xbox being a little more open and PlayStation being more reserved. So
I feel like they're holding on to their titles, man. They're
trying to ride it out. They're definitely, I mean, do what you want there, but hey, I'm excited. I do hope to eventually get at least. I'm hoping for, like I said, an Xbox myself, but I'm not spending. Okay, let me preface this with: I have an Xbox One. I have two Xbox Ones. I have a PS4, a Switch, PS3, Xbox 360, a PC. Like I got them all, right? Like at this point. I'm not spending $1,000 to upgrade right now to get the new systems. As much as I want to, there's just no way that they are worth that much money to me right this second.
Right.
Yeah, it is what it is. At least the launch was better than the Xbox One. We'll give it that much as well. They have games ready to go. It's a good time.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm coming from as well. I kind of want to jump in on that.
Yeah.
So there's a reason I was so willing to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go Sony, because I'm kind of looking at it in a sense of we don't have all the money in the world right now. I can't afford to buy an Xbox One X. I can't get a PS5 and all this stuff. I already have my Xbox One. I have my PlayStation 4, and I have my PC. But if I'm looking at gaming hours, I just see myself having more time on PlayStation versus Xbox for the foreseeable future.
That's fair. That's fair.
With RPGs, with adventures, with Spider-Man.
I feel that, especially with RPGs. PlayStation is definitely better for all of that. But we're going to go ahead and move on. Speaking of RPGs, it's a semi-RPG. I don't know if that's quite what you would want to call this game. But yes, we are talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It came out yesterday, and that gives us a chance to play it. Have had a chance to play it anyway. Not much, but hey, at least I was able to get in, and I gotta say, it is fun. It's really fun. What are you thinking so far, Doodles?
Oh, I'm enjoying it. I love how they jump straight in with the mythology, and they just kind of hold your hand a little bit. If you're not into Norse mythology, or if you're just interested and you don't know yet, this game, just like God of War, it will kind of hold your hand a little bit and teach you. It's good.
Absolutely. It is. Yeah. In God of War, God of War has skewed the story quite a bit. So, I don't know if that's the direction we quite want to take here, but that, let's go ahead and start here. So let's talk about the game. So the game itself, game starts with what's called the Seer. Now, the Seer seemed to be kind of a narrator, and it starts with the story of the world's creation, starting with, and I actually want to make sure that we get it here. But when it comes to the creation with Ymir and the... where'd it go? Here we go. All of my words are now all sorts mixed up. All right, so yes, it starts with nothing. There is nothing, and from nothing comes the giant Ymir. Ymir is the actual creator of these worlds. He wanders and ultimately ends up creating all of the worlds that you know of that are all connected via the world tree. And this is the story that we start with. It is factually correct from what I was seeing per the start of the story, but it is missing about 90% of the story. It's really just your first intro. So from there, we pick up. We are with young Eivor. Now, Eivor is he's just found an arm ring. He's just picked it up, got it out of his chest here, and he is tasked with bringing that to the king. Now, these armbands, just if anybody isn't aware about Viking lore, these armbands are oftentimes used to show loyalty, trust. You're basically pledging your allegiance with them. Really meant to show the connection. So the Eivor is trying to get the armband to the king. You're walking around the hall, meeting the new characters, meeting everyone that you need to know. You get and then as soon as you get to the king, we have a fun musical number. That was interesting to say the least. But we do get a fun musical number right as you get to the king. You present him with the band. The city is attacked. The town is attacked. From the town getting attacked, you as Eivor, you are supposed to try to escape, which you are able to do. It's pretty, it's kind of just setting you up there. So you're able to escape, but during your escape, you are continue to be chased. That's really the key there is you continue to get chased. You're chased down into a river, at which point a wolf attacks you. With this attack, you are gifted the title Wolf-Kissed, and it's Eivor Wolf-Kissed. You are able to survive the encounter, at which point the game picks up to where you are an older Eivor. I would say, mid-20s, early 30s, maybe?
It has to be mid-20s, because they're saying something about 17 moons, I guess.
Okay.
I think that's what the line was.
Well, Not bad.
Yeah, so she's gotta be about mid-20s.
So, oh yeah, and that's a valid point. That's a valid point. So, in the game, as you're choosing this older character, you're not necessarily choosing your own character. You get to choose which Avar you're actually playing as. So, I personally, now my dream obviously is to be a Viking, a Viking warrior. I got my tattoos. I got. I'm ready to be a Viking, so I did choose the male persona. You, however, you chose the female persona. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
All right, fantastic. So
Anytime to have
good points
have
of
an
view.
awesome lady just smacking around dudes, I'm into this. This is great. You know what? Just break all the stereotypes of Vikings. Were cool because the women were warriors too. It was
No, absolutely, absolutely, and it's rough when you're playing as a dude, and all of a sudden you realize that the voice that you're about to fight is a woman, and you're like, I've never had to do this before. Okay, bye, and then you of course murder them. But I mean, what are you gonna do? But anyway, once you pick up as an aged Avar, you're looking at you have to save your crew. And that's really where the game picks up. So you rescue your crew and you have to return home after you've been captured as an older Avar. Your crew gets captured, you get them released, you get back home. Everything else starts from there.
right.
That's actually where I left off. I haven't had much of a chance to play, but you've played further. How far have you gotten there?
So, the way my roommate says, he says I'm about 5 minutes from the title screen, which if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, you knows that they are getting progressively longer and longer with their prologues. They love their prologues. They like to introduce you to a world, make you play it for hours, and then tell you what game you're playing.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm not even hating on it. It's great. It was fun.
Okay.
As far as I've gotten into it, I would say that I'm excited. I see the skill tree. I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing with random kind of ability finds, where you find them in the environment. There's a lot of fun stuff if you're actually looking to explore. They have gone further in depth with the eagle. This time it's a raven, your companion. So there's a lot more to it. It feels very much like this game is made for the PS5 or the Xbox X.
Okay. All right. Why do you say that? Why do you say that exactly?
I feel like it has a hard time running on PlayStation 4, which was what I was playing on. Not to the point where it was unplayable. It was still great. But this is a serious game. They made it for the new consoles, I think. And, there's a lot going on in it.
They did, and let me get into kind of my thoughts on it, because I mean, it really does match up with what you're saying there. So first things first, I've actually never really played the Assassin's Creed. I played the first couple, wasn't a huge fan of them though, and never picked them up again. I found the Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins on sale. So I purchased them, but per your instructions, among other instructions, this was not, it wasn't just you that was recommending this, but I was always told that whichever one I play first is going to be my favorite. And this was back in March, April, like kind of the earlier in this year. So we knew that Valhalla was coming out, and we were really prepared for it. So I bought the games, and this is the first one I'm playing, because if there's any risk to this game not being my favorite Assassin's Creed, I'm taking it off the table. This will be my favorite Assassin's Creed game, unless they find a way to royally screw it up to where I don't want to play it like I didn't want to play the originals. Like, again, I have no idea what any of these games entail, what they are, what they do, nothing. So
I'm kind of in the same boat a little bit. I was a die-hard Assassin's Creed guy at first. I played through the Ezio trilogy. I played through, well, I think it was, I played through the Ezio games, and then I kind of fell out with Black Flag. I'm not going to bring spoilers. You guys know what happened. There's a reason I fell out, and y'all know.
Understandable. Understand. No context. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, so there's it's just just changing the game, and you know what? With the newer lines of Assassin's Creed, it's been great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Origins I haven't played yet, but Odyssey,
you haven't played Origins.
I played expansively. I love Odyssey. I have a hard time. I have a hard time jumping into Valhalla because of how much I love Odyssey.
See, and that was my exact worry. You guys were kept saying like, "Oh no, you have to whichever one you choose will be your favorite." And no, this one will be my favorite. I'm gonna make sure of it.
I don't think it's an issue with you, man, because you love your Vikings. You love your Vikings. I think you're gonna love this game.
Something like that, anyway.
Great guy. I love my Odyssey.
Hey, fair. Well, let's go ahead and talk about then, because you mentioned the it feels built for the PS5, and I do want to elaborate and touch on that as well. The cutscenes were rough, and I don't know what it was. If it was like just my connection to my TV, if it was just the game itself. I don't understand what it was, but it felt like the cutscenes and especially the opening scene where you're wandering through the group of people, the game felt dated. It felt glitchy. Like the graphics just weren't there. It wasn't very clear. It was blending into each other. It felt like I was playing, a PS3 game. Honestly, I hate to say it that way, but that's really what it felt like. It felt really dated. It got a lot smoother as we went along, though. That's the good news. Once you actually get into playing, once you become get into the world, it gets a lot better. It does. Speaking of the world, though, what about the size? How do you feel about the size of the world? You've already had to do some sailing here. What did you think?
So I've just gone to the 2 places, and then so the first area you're at, and then you can get in your boat and you sail to your home. That was pretty cool. The world seems to be, without giving away spoilers, very expansive.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it appears to be a very large game. But going back to your point with the cutscenes, I feel like a huge thing with that is I think they're running off of 2 major designs for their cutscenes. They have their dedicated Assassin's Creed, watch our movie, we made it, it's great. And then they have their ADHD cutscenes for your boy here who does not like to wait for their dialogue to finish. I'll read and then I'll hit circle or whatever and it'll skip through. But it does get a little buggy. I feel like they're competing with their cutscene styles, and sometimes it doesn't mesh the best.
It can, especially when you're trying to move around in a cutscene. I don't know exactly what they were trying to go for there, but I think the biggest thing that I noticed was the hair. And when like they're moving their hair, the hair doesn't move like every other game is recently. It's just kind of stuck in one place. It feels very blocky. And then when they put their head up, the hair just like goes into their back. Like it's definitely glitchy. But once you get into the world here, it becomes bigger. It does. Get that added back on there. All right, it does. It gets bigger. It gets easier to deal with any of those glitches, because even if there are a glitch, it runs smoothly enough that I don't feel like I ever get stuck somewhere. Your climbing ability gets you where you need to go, but it's so big. It's such a big world, but at the same time, it's not. And so one of my biggest worries with this game was sailing, actually, because you're sailing too far to England, right? Yeah. Like you're not going on a short little trip here across the lake. So how are they going to make this trip from our homeland over to England without feeling like, I don't know, Sea of Thieves, where you're spending 90% of your time just on this boat doing nothing? But that wasn't really the case. Especially once you put your sails up, like you get through the map quickly. Yeah,
they're generous with your movement,
right? And you're not. It really doesn't feel. Doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel too large when you're actually in the world. But then you look at the map and it is so large, so expansive with so much to do. It's actually really exciting to see. I think they balanced it well, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I was alluding to earlier, I think the only thing more daunting than the map might be the skill tree.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Ooh, you can't even see most of it. It's, you're jumping in, get your first few healths, and then it's just chaos from there. It's just it's fog.
I guess there's like, dude, it's crazy. I stumbled into the wrong area already, and it's in one of the first zones. But my character was about level 10 at this point. This area that I stumbled into said that the recommended level for you is level 238.
Yep, I was about to talk to you about that. That's at the top of the map. It's so funny. You have the entire bottom half of the map that is completely level 1, level 2, level 10. And then there's this little line. And it's like, what is that shadowy place? Oh, that's level 280. We don't go there. Like, okay, that's a jump and a half, but it is what it is, I guess. What about game mechanics? What game mechanics themselves? We're looking movement, your jumping, your abilities. We kind of touched on, you can't really get stuck because of your climbing abilities. But how do those compare to the other games?
This is the most forgiving Assassin's Creed for climbing, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I mean, and this is just as far as I know for the first area when you're in Norway still. It feels like Red Dead Redemption 2, and I hate it. I hate it. Okay. I don't like running through the snow. I'm sorry. But when you're climbing, you can climb everything, and that's fun. And it feels like you climb incredibly fast in this game, which is cool.
Yeah, and you do climb fast, and I think the good news is I saw a slot there as I was kind of messing in the game. It looks like we do get an animal to ride. So I've seen wolves out there. I'm sure a horse is an option. It would not surprise me if we get a few others. But you do get something to ride. So Red Dead Redemption or not, at least you're not stuck traveling through the snow on foot.
Yeah.
That's going to be important, and not all of it's going to be snow. I mean, let's think. Once we get to England, which again, guilty. I have not gotten there yet. I barely made it back to home base here, but yeah. I mean, shouldn't be too terrible.
No. Yeah. And this is just a small thing on my part when I was going from one area to the next, trying to take a shortcut, going through my level 238 zone to get to the next spot in the mission. So I was just going through that, and I think I took the frontier route, man. It was tough. I feel
just
like
trekked
I
your way
took
through.
The worst route. Yeah.
I've taken my boat everywhere. Oh, I need to get to the other side of the map. It would be 30 seconds to walk across the map. No, that's cool. I'm gonna take my boat all the way around, down south, and all the way around because this is really fun. I like taking sail. Well, what would you say then with we've talked about the mechanics and all of that fun stuff. Oh, actually no, speaking of the mechanics, there is one mechanic that I thought was really interesting, and I don't know if it's me having this issue or if it's going to be a more widespread thing, but from what I was having a really hard time shielding. Timing and syncing my shielding so that I was actually being effective, because if you don't time it correctly, when you put your shield up, they'll still hit you because you'll have it up and it'll still deal damage, but you can parry it if you time it correctly. And I cannot seem to get the parrying down. Like the timing on that feels rough.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So that's where games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne are going to be your best friend. Parry timing, parry mechanics, getting your ripostes in, and all that fun stuff. This all comes with just getting comfortable in the pocket and watching that arm. If you're ready to get that attack thrown at you, you're ready to parry it. But at the same time, I can totally see how it is frustrating, because when I first started doing the parrying thing, I didn't want to touch it on anything. Like not even this game, other games, I was not parrying nothing.
No, and that's fair. A lot of times you default to like dodging or sliding or whatever else, just kind of getting out of the way instead of focusing on blocking it and kind of trying to slow them down. The game seems to have some really good mechanics when it comes to counters. So and your combos and whatnot. So as soon as you get that countered, there's upgrades that you can give to like your bow and your axe and whatever else that will actually help, so that once you parry, you actually are getting a bonus out of it. So I
do have something for you. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna be so happy.
Oh yeah,
you get to Seth Rollins in this game. There's an ability. You get it in the skill tree. You can just head stomp fools. You get to go full Seth Rollins.
We gotta go full Seth Rollins. Okay.
Full Seth Rollins. I was playing
Where's this
right
at?
next to my roommate, and every time someone falls on the ground, I'm like, Seth Rollins, and I just start stomping.
All right, where's that at? If I'm following the tree, do I go up, to the right, or to the left? Go up? All right, you got it.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, what are you thinking of the game then? What would you let's go ahead and rate the game. What would you rate the game up until now? Keeping in mind any of the other Assassin's Creed games, any other games, like comparable, God of War, for example, definitely a very comparable but very different game. How would you rate that?
So with this game, right now, at this point, I would not put it past Odyssey. I'd put it at the same level because it has that same level of, it can go that far. I can see it going that far. And with the customization of your character, you have little things here that allow you to personalize your character and make it your own, and that's great. I love that aspect. I feel like there's some cool new features that they're throwing in as far as like trying to get into buildings. There's some things you have to like destroy or something to get into a place. That's a cool mechanic. I feel like this game is probably gonna be. I'd give it like a 7 or an 8 right now.
7 or an 8 right now. All right, and that's completely fair. If I had to rate the game now, I'm torn between two different directions with this. All right, one, maybe not necessarily fully understanding what Assassin's Creed stands for. I'm noticing, especially as I'm bouncing in and out of the what is it, the Animus? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Animus? Okay. So as I'm jumping in and out of the Animus, it's kind of hard for me to track and know exactly what that means and why it may be happening. And I mean, obviously that pertains to the story itself, right? Like that's just what you're doing, is you're following the story. But knowing why people are connected to the Animus or whatever else, what reasons for that, I don't have the context for. I've never really played before, so I'm really interested in seeing that. It's taken me out of the game just a little bit, but I'd have to lean the same. I'm sitting at 8.5 because Vikings. But I'm going to be honest with you, when it comes to Viking games, so far, I'm giving the edge to God of War, actually. God of War, it's more mythology-based. Let's go with that. It's more mythology-based and less civilian-based, like what the average Viking was doing. I'd say average. I mean, Vikings are what they are, but yeah, that's... Yeah,
I could say God of War would be more like the mythology, whereas Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it feels like I'm playing Vikings the show, and I love that.
Yes, but I noticed that.
Yes, because like if you see Sigurd, he's your brother character. He reminds me a lot of the main dude that I'm gonna get in trouble with for not remembering right now, so I'm not even gonna say it. But he reminds me of that guy.
See, and my first thought was not Sigurd, but was actually with Eivor. So it popped on the screen, and I'm like, oh man, that's Atreus. Like, come on, you're copying Atreus. Well, no, okay, not so much oh my goodness, that's Bjorn. Like that's 10-year-old Bjorn. Like
10-year-old Bjorn.
We're gonna end up with Vikings the TV show, the video game. Like, what is happening right now? And I don't want to get too much into the Vikings TV show, but I wasn't entirely wrong. We're jumping straight into kind of what the Viking TV show was based off of there. So should be interesting to see if they keep up with that. And let's be honest, the Eivor as a female looks a lot like Lagertha. Like Lagertha. So
yeah, it's cool. Like I feel like I'm playing as like a really cool Valkyrie, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed every second of this so far. It's been an absolute blast to play. Again, I'm not even that far in. I've spent all day prepping to do this, get the show all ready to go for us and whatever else, and I'm sitting here thinking, I just want to play that stupid game. Can I just I know I got it in yesterday, but like, let's play. So it's been good, but I think that's going to be about it for us. That's about time. We've hit 45 minutes at this point, which is borderline where we want to be. It's been really fun. So Doodles, where can we find you? Do you have a Twitch or a Twitter? Where can we find you?
So you got my Twitter there on the screen right there. It's at @Dadoodly-Doo. I'm on PlayStation. I play it's the same Dadoodly-Doo, except for it's got that EW instead of the double O in the middle there.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'll be playing Assassin's Creed for the next little bit. See where we land.
Beautiful. All right. And a special thanks to the show's creator and producer here, Patrick Beatty. You can find him at Pat B Reviews. He's absolutely fantastic. He's the one that's kind of getting everything put together and really creating this show and helping us put it on. So a huge shout out to him and a huge thank you. I'm Nateslegend. You can find me at Nateslegend both on Twitch and Twitter. Really anywhere else, if I'm being completely honest with you. Nateslegend is my go-to. So that said, definitely appreciate you guys jumping on and watching us here. For now, you have a great one, and just keep on gaming.